Okay, I'm going to show you how to. Hello. I'm going to show you how to remove the memory modules from your computer. But first, you want to get a few things. Get a cloth, just like a hand towel cloth, not a paper towel, and something light colored. You may be setting little tiny screws off to the side, and they just easily roll around and get kicked off the desk very easily. You want something that they'll just stay in place, and you want a paper towel that'll easily fly off somewhere. The other thing is you want a very tiny Phillips head screwdriver. And the way you test that, well, first, before we get to that, unplug everything off your computer, including any little wireless side things like this, because the ones that will stick out like that, there we go. You want to pull those out because they easily break off if you leave them in. So plug everything off, turn your computer over, and here's where you check your screwdriver first. In this central, there's a central big area here that you'll be taking off, and there's a little tiny Phillips head screwdriver in there, screw in there. And so make sure, take your tiny Phillips head screwdriver and see if you can push it down and turn it a little bit. Just give it a little turn to make sure, because some of these that are a little bit bigger, let's see, here we go, a little bit bigger, are too big for that. So they won't get down in there and turn. So you want to find a tiny one. This thing's very small. And just test it that way. That way, you test that first, because then you'll know if you want to start on this or if you need to find a tiny Phillips head screwdriver first. Okay, so you get a screwdriver, cloth. I'm using rubber gloves because there's a piece to get the battery off. I have to sort of grip on it, and my fingertips have no grip, so that's why I'm wearing gloves. If you know how to do your battery, if you don't, there's two tabs here, and here. You just pull apart, or it should be very similar to that. You have those clicks on each one, and then this lifts up and out, and this is where you need the grip, and there we go. Okay, I can't do that without gloves. So just lift that out, set it up to the side on your cloth. Okay, so everything's unplugged around here, you got the battery out. Now you come to this part. There's this big plate here, and that is, move this over here, it's in view here. There we go. Back on the screen there, that's supposed to be what your computer looks like. It'll have probably one screw up here somewhere. And again, yours is sort of flatter. Mine's a little bit more angle design. It should be somewhere in there. So again, you loosen that screw, and you don't really have to take it all the way out, but you might want to. If it comes out loose, here's this one's very loose. See here, and you want to put it over near your battery on that cloth so it doesn't. So I have like here's the cloth on the battery, so it doesn't fly away somewhere. Again, if you put them on open desk, and those things go skidding around all over the place. Okay, now you're supposed to be able to just lift this out, but I find sometimes that's not possible. And in that case, also should have a small flathead screwdriver or something to try to get around these very tiny, here we go, to lift that, there we go, to lift this plate. And again, it's just one screw that hold it in, and the plate will come up here. Okay, so that plate's off, and in here then is your memory module. That's what it is, right there. And let me see if I can get this around here. There's two tabs on these sides, sort of a long little piece of metal on each side that you can pull away from. You'll hear it click, and pull away from this side. Let me see if we can. Okay, I'm going to pull away from this side and this side. There we go, and that pops up. So you pull those, they're just along the sides here, and you pull them away, and this will pop up. And you, at an angle here, you just pull this out. Ta-da! So, and you can see this sort of, there's a gap there, offset from center. And here's then you'll have your information on what type your what type your memory module is. And Now, depending on where your memory modules are, yours doesn't have a picture here. So in mine, there's this memory module here, and there's an open space over here that says DIMM. You'll see it's the same type of setup over here. There's two little slats there that you place one in here and the other one in here. Or they may be on top of each other. When you lift this up, there may be a place for a second one underneath. Yours probably will have real similar design, so maybe there. Oh, look, here's a nice little piece of information too when you open this up. Right over here it says Sportsline DDR3L. So, aha, yours may have that too. But again, on the memory module you pull out, they'll have information about 4 gigabytes. There's a thing called 1RX8 or 2RX8. You'll want to match that. See which one yours has. They'll say 1RX8 or 2RX8. It's single density and dual density, and Dell's really sensitive to that. A lot of them don't have to care. PC3L, 12800. So they either call them PC or DDR. PC3L 12800 is what yours will be, or DDR3L 1600. They're the exact same thing. They're just two different names. So take the memory module out, find out what it is, get the matching ones, and you want to put two new ones in that match each other. You should be able to get just a second one, but if yours is just 4 gigabytes in here, a single 4 gigabyte one. But sometimes if the little electronics on here, if they don't exactly match each other, it can be problematic. So you just want to buy two new ones of these. So again, if you're going to put two new ones in here, in my case, there's two different slots. And again, in this one here, there's those little side things, and the little offset part is right there, so you can see. And you want to put it in an angle, like a 45-degree angle. You want to put it in at a bit of an angle. You'll just sort of feel it sort of push down in there at an angle, and then you push it down, and those two little bars will snap in there in place to hold it. And again, to pull it out, you just pull them apart, and it'll pull up, and this comes out just a little bit difficult, but it's okay. And again, I'm going to place this back in here in the previous spot where it was. This is where the one goes. And again, you'll just do offset. It's not label up or label down or anything. Just match the offset. And again, about a 45-degree angle. And just push it a little bit in there. Just give it a little shove so it stays in. And then when you push it down, you'll know if you've got it far enough in, if these two bars, there's a little like, the bar comes up and there's a little extra little, oops, so I don't, there we go. Here, I'll try this. The bar comes up here, and there's a little extra little bump out here that matches the little slot, little bump slot that it goes into here. Let me pull it apart and show you again. There we go. You see these two slots on the side here, little indents here and here. When you push those down, these things the end of it should come right in there. If you're not far enough down, they won't quite reach. So that tells you if you push it down far enough. Again, you shouldn't have to shove these or anything like that. They just sort of slide in. So that's how you do that. You can put your second one back in there. And then you plate. You just probably, there we go. Usually one end goes in first. One end sort of sets down in there first a little bit. There we go. That's the thing that sets down first. So it snaps down in here. And it just kind of doesn't quite snap down in, but it'll set down in. You'll be all flat all the way around. It'll be all flat. And then you take your super extra little tiny screw that you saved off to your side here. Some of these screws will be a little bit magnetic or will hold it, which will be really helpful. I'm trying to put that in there, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes you can just set it down in there, it'll be down in there, okay, and just, oops, give it a few little back and forth, there we go. And just snug, there, just, you put it in the snug, you have to really tighten down or anything like that, just snug in there. Ta-da! And then, you put your battery back in there. I think it sort of slides one way and then snaps down. There we go. And both those things automatically snap down beside each other. Ta-da! And if everything's good, hopefully. Let's see. When you start it up, it may say change in memory. It may say something about a change in memory. Now, I didn't change my memory. But it may say, hey, detected a change in memory, go through setup. You don't have to do setup, but there'll be like an F2. It'll say press F2 or something to go to setup. Just press F2. It'll bring up a screen. If it does that, get a hold of me first. I'll go through that with you. And you don't have to change anything. It just goes to a screen that has a lot of settings and stuff, but it just needs to know that, hey, it needs to internally change the amount of memory that you have. And there's a way to say just exit, and then it'll go up to the startup process like it's doing. If it beeps, and again, changing memory, it'll probably beep, it'll go beep, 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 and it'll say that, hey, we found some extra memory. It should automatically detect it and say no problems in startup, but it might do that little setting thing. Okay, and then that's it. Ta-da! So that's it. Yay! I hope that helps. Let me know if it does or doesn't help you in deciding if you want to try that or not. Okay, and remember, you want a flat, small. These are specifically made for computers. Small Phillips head and small flat. The small flat will help you get that little plate out there. And a small, again, these are, get my hand out here so you can sort of see the relative size here. But these are, that's the Phillips head. That's how small that head is on that. Where's the camera here? So yeah, so that's how small the head is on that. And the same with that. Compared to a near normal small Phillips is that size, and this one's that size. And again, so you want the tinier one, that'll get that little tiny screw out easier. Okay. Yay, there's the instruction video. Okay.